That's a tough question.
I guess to me, he reminded me a mix of Penny Hardaway and Tracy McGrady, kind of. Like he you can see that he has the move, he has the athleticism. Back when Tracy McGrady was young and had need, he fucking dunked the hell out of the ball. Like,
yeah, for sure.
He drive and dunk. And Penny Hardaway, he just had that killer instinct. Like, I love Penny Hardaway. So, like, I just see like a combo mix. I mean, I see some Dwayne Wade in him, but to me, Donovan Mitchell is the closest to Dwayne Wade right now.
Well, I was going to say that's a decent comp for Edwards too, because Mitchell takes. I mean, you need to have a guy Edwards takes it so hard to the hole so often. Like few people drive all the time. Like it's a jump shot league. It's rare to have a guy that's just constantly attacking the rim. So that's why it's hard to find a comp for him. Like when I looked it up on shots within 5 feet, like what I was saying a while ago, he was like right up there with LeBron James percentage-wise on his shots at the rim. Like nobody else that's a wing was anywhere near that.
But I could be wrong, but at the beginning of the season, Anthony Edwards wasn't attacking the hoop as much as
he was attacking it. He just was missing all of them.
Yeah.
So he was shooting like 25% at the rim.
Sorry, I just want to jump in. We are technically live on YouTube. I have the link, and I will put it in the chat for if you guys want to share it to your own personal things. But I'll put it in the group. Yeah. So yeah, but continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, we gotta get Jason on here to tell us that we're all crazy for being Wolves fans because I know it's coming.
Where's that link?
Here, I'll put it in the private chat. You see the thing that says private chat?
I do.
Right there.
Boom.
All right.
Beautiful. Where are these other homeboys at?
Yeah, no, it's funny. So when I started like doing stuff with like going for two and stuff, I actually met Gerson and just become a pretty good friend with him. It's kind of crazy, like how you can meet guys that you've never met before, but like just hit it off with them right away. It's awesome.
Oh, it's awesome. I just shared it on Twitter, so
okay.
I guess was I supposed to say that?
All right, it's in the group right now. I just put it there. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, which you probably aren't yet, this is the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson, and joined by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. I am feeling optimistic tonight. I think that whether it's Suggs, whether it's Cunningham, whether it's Mobley, I think something's going to happen tonight. And, of course, as always, Jared Good is here. Jared, how we doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm kind of freelancing this one because I got the kids tonight, and it might be a little bit of a free flow kind of. You might see me come and go because I got the kids, but we got the dog barking. But we're here. We're always here. That's number one thing. We're always here.
Absolutely. And Gerson, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Joining us from Utah, right?
Yeah, from good old Utah, where we get our heart broken in the second round.
Okay, that's true.
At least you got to the second round.
So are you in Mormon country then, or not really?
Well, Mormon country is the whole state of Utah, but yes,
that's true.
I'm in Mormon country. Yeah, just good old Mormon country, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, we are here. We are just waiting on the show. Oh, Jared, there's your kid.
Yeah, just good old Mormon country, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, we are here. Where's that coming from? On the show.
I think probably
a little bit of an echo.
Someone's watching it.
That was me, my bad.
No problem.
All my social media right now, and I forgot to mute my bookmark.
Okay, yeah, no problem. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to put your questions in the chat. We have access to them. We can answer them. Yeah, and so we just wanted to we just wanted to do something where us Timberwolves fan, it's a big night for Timberwolves fans because obviously the fate of the pick is up for grabs, and yeah, just a legitimate reaction to it. So, Chris, how you feeling tonight? You feeling good? Do you think we got a good shot, or what do you think?
I'm kind of. I mean, obviously, we don't have a good shot, right. Mathematically, but it's one of those things where obviously a top 3 pick is great to get, but then you add 8 to 10 million depending on where you get it. We're already over the cap basically, so, and not only over the cap, we're basically in the luxury tax. So if we get the pick, we've got to somehow make 8 to 10 million in cap space just to bring that salary in, because we're not going to pay luxury tax yet.
Right.
So that's tricky. So like there's pluses and minuses to everything. And the way that our contracts are set up, we don't have very many like useless tiny contracts. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. I would be surprised, get it or not. And well, if we get it, I'd be surprised if that player is playing on the Timberwolves game 1 of the year.
Okay. So you think there's a move in the works? I was listening to it's called the Locked On Timberwolves podcast. I don't know if you guys have ever heard it.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he's pretty confident that if we get the number 1 pick, that if we get the number 1 pick, then Malik Beasley's most likely out the door. So that was his assessment. I think so too.
Seems like a smart person.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know, and we'll talk about it later, probably after the draft, but we'll talk about it, obviously. Ben Simmons, I don't know. He's looked like garbage the last couple of games, but we'll get into that. Jared, how we feeling tonight? You feeling optimistic? What are you feeling?
It's funny. I told my wife I had a big Timberwolves podcast tonight with some obviously she knows that Gerson is a guy that I greatly respect, so I'm happy to have him on our podcast. But so I was talking to my wife tonight, and I said, we got a 27% chance to get this pick, and it's a really big deal for the Timberwolves. And she said, you tell them guys if they're feeling lucky to buy Powerball. The lottery's on Wednesday and Saturday. I said, that's the greatest line I've ever heard.
If I had a 25% chance of winning the Powerball, I will 100% buy all the tickets I can.
Absolutely. And Gerson, I know that you're kind of a Jazz fan, but how you feeling tonight? What's going through your head?
I'll take a little break from the Jazz because they broke my heart, and I'll be a T-Wolf fan tonight for you guys. Cheer with you guys. So contract-wise, I think you guys are pretty much screwed. Malik Beasley, the only way you trade him if you give up like a pick. And
no way.
Who's going to take that $17 million contract?
Every NBA team that wants.
I think a lot of them. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think a lot would.
He literally averaged like 23 points a game when he was playing. On like 40 couple mid 40s or low 40s% 3-point shooting on like 7 or 8 a game. Like that's exactly what a lot of teams need.
But that's on the T-Wolves, That's like
but they play in the NBA with the NBA line. That's
they play in the NBA, bro. Ricky Rubio, that $17 million contract too. The thing is, I think with free agency with the T-Wolves, you guys got a new ownership, so it'll be very different to see how you guys attack everything. But tonight, your lottery, you just got to pray that it goes top 3. I mean, you guys invested for D'Angelo Russell with this pick, so if it works out, that's great because you basically get to pick everybody has three superstars, and then let's say you hit on Cade Cunningham or one of the guys that Gabe mentioned, basically whatever you think is best, but I hope it really works out for you guys because, man, you guys deserve a break. You guys need to get it. Get back.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, we deserve a break. If anyone deserves a break, we do. So, I mean, to be fair, we got one last year. with Anthony Edwards, but we could definitely take another break. Would be
What were we, fifth last year?
Were we?
Fourth?
Or no, we were top 3, weren't we?
Yeah, you guys were. Okay, so number 1.
We were 2, right?
You were number 2 because Wiseman went number 1. LaMelo went number 3, I believe.
No. We drafted number 1. I just don't know where our odds were pre-lottery. I know we moved up.
Oh yeah. We drafted number 1.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Edward went number 1, right?
I think I don't know where we were.
1.
Doesn't matter.
1.
We had number 1.
And just to remind people, this is what we're looking at tonight. This is the draft lottery odds. The red on there, that means that if they get that pick, it goes to another team. Obviously, the Timberwolves are on there with a lot of red as well. Other teams looking at that are Chicago, Houston, as Chris was mentioning. If they don't get a top 4 pick, it looks like their pick goes to OKC. So it's a big night for them as well. Yeah, I mean,
so you want to know? Here's my dream scenario for tonight. I'm gonna put it out there. I mean, Timberwolves get the number 1 pick. Houston gets number 2, right?
Mhm.
I've been kind of on record saying that I'm not as full of a Cade Cunningham believer as ESPN mass media is. So what we do then is we trade, because obviously he's from Texas, so Houston wants him. You know, I mean, and he's a stud probably. So we'll see. So we get their number 2 pick, and they toss in like Kevin Porter Jr. or, you know, that's the guy I really want. Like, I like Porter Jr. a lot. Put him in there. Maybe who's that big guy that I can't think of his name off the top of my head now? The guy that came from Detroit.
Drummond?
No. He's on Houston.
Oh yeah. He got paid big bucks. We argued about it, Jared. In the chat. No, in the chat we argued that he was on a top 20 power forward.
He's for sure top 20. Christian Wood.
Yeah, Christian Wood.
Oh yeah.
So like if we could get some sort of Christian Wood in number 2 for number 1, and you know, some contract match, like I don't think he's making that much. I think Wood's making like
he's making quite a bit. He's making like 17, 18.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. So like if we toss Elroy, we toss toss Rubio that way or something like that. I don't know. I think we're going to use this pick for an asset one way or another.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. And it looks like we have Elroy joining the chat yes, we can see this. Yes.
What up?
Not much. How you doing?
Man, living the dream. Living the dream. Look who I brought with me today. You guys recognize this guy?
We will be once we hit that lottery luck.
That looks like a voodoo right there.
Hold on.
That's one Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay.
There he is.
We need it. Number 1 pick. That's that number 1 pick.
That's right. They're not all busts.
We need that.
How you doing? You've had some pretty good
you guys
on
do
our
better
page
than
lately.
Say what?
I'm excited to get into.
You've had some pretty good takes on our page lately.
Hey, man. Hey, thank you. Appreciate the love. Yeah, you know, I said to MVP Matt Przybilla recently that I've just been studying hard, man. You know, doing my work, putting it in daily, keep my ear to the ground.
Putting in the ground.
Yep, keeping the ear to the ground.
I love the Ben Simmons take. I agree 100% with what you're saying about him.
Oh man, can you imagine though? Man, I mean, I don't know if
I've been imagining. We're live.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
I've been imagining for about a year.
We're live, buddy.
Sweet.
I've been imagining Ben Simmons for about a year right now.
You know, so here's the thing that got my juices flowing on that. the idea, right? We've all been talking about Finch working with Towns down low to kind of unlock his inner Jokic, right?
Mhm.
So the thing that's really interesting is if by some chance we manage to get our hands on Ben Simmons, imagine what this guy could do with a guy who can already has like the natural passing ability that Jokic has, right? Like that's what Simmons
100%.
has. He's got that
Mhm.
already. You don't
Only
got to
that-
teach him anything.
Only
And
10
then
times the athlete.
Only 10 times the athlete, and then you pair him with Karl Towns. Man, I'm telling you, that would be dynamic. I just don't know if we're going to be able to get our hands on it.
I think the best thing about Simmons is dropped drastically recently because of his performance in the playoffs. So
Right.
like looking at like a Beasley, Rubio, and a first and maybe a top 3 pick. I think we have to land the pick to Ben Simmons, which gets kind of confusing because like if we don't, I think there's no chance we get him. But like if you have him power forward where he can just distribute and play deep, which are the 2 things that he's good at, I think that goes a long way. Yeah, that's absolutely like Ben Simmons would make the perfect 4 on this team because he wouldn't have to score. We have enough scorers here. And I don't think people understand that. Like talk about a close team that like hasn't been good recently, and we got scorers. We got some talent on this team, and we're just a couple pieces away from making a big jump.
So
Yep.
one thing to think about is Chris Finch, right? He is an innovative coach. And when we're talking about Ben Simmons, it's kind of weird. Like Ben Simmons is 7 pounds lighter than Karl Anthony Towns, but he's the same height. So he's the same size. He's a center. He's damn near NBA center size. He is.
Yep.
Remember when Finch was in OKC, when he had Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins? He had both those guys playing pick and roll with each other as power forward centers, causing havoc. Like he is so inventive what he does with guys. Like you said, give him a guy like Simmons. He's not going to have Simmons bringing the ball up and acting like a traditional point guard, keeping him 30 feet away from the basket because that's stupid. Like that's Doc Rivers dumb. How about you take whoever's on you and you post them up, mouse in the house, like there's no reason for what was happening. Like, I don't know. And all the slander Simmons is getting, like, I would be more mad. Let's hypothetically say you're up 2-1 in the series, right? And you go, I don't know, 0 for 12 in the second half and miss a layup right at the end. Oh, wait, no, that was Embiid did that. That's right. My fault. Like Simmons, he might not have scored, but he was shooting like 3 or 4 times a game. Like,
Yeah.
okay. I'd rather have a guy, go 1 for 3 than go 0 for 12,
Right.
So
Well, and the other thing about that, Chris, that a lot of people aren't talking about was Embiid's. So part of that collapse was not only the poor shooting percentage, right? Like his percentage went down as the games got tighter. Let's be real about that. His fourth quarters weren't as good as his first, second, and third quarters. That's partly because he's injured, right? His body gets worn down. You expect that. The thing that nobody was really talking about was the turnover increases. He had 8 turnovers in both of the last games.
Yep.
That's something Doc himself really has to think about, right? Like he took the ball out of the guy who's most comfortable making decisions with the ball, his best playmaker's hands. The guy who's been making plays for him all year and managing turnovers all year. He took it out of his hands and put the pressure on Embiid, who I called it. I talked to you about this earlier, Chris. Embiid gets tight when the game gets close and he struggles with making good decisions, right? Like, so I think if you put Simmons on the Wolves, allow him to, like you said, do that work down low with Finch. I mean, that Pelicans team you're talking about, that's the same team that swept the Blazers, right? Isn't it?
One of the craziest things about like talking about Doc Rivers is like I've for years said that like coaches really aren't that important, and Doc Rivers made a name for himself with the 2008 Celtics. Like I could have made myself a name playing the 2008 Celtics. I know Garrison asked the question because we always
Hall of Famers.
I want to say this. If Ben Simmons plays the power forward position, the player he will remind me the most of, and he's going to be a better version of him, is Lamar Odom. When Lamar Odom was in his prime, all-star level, he did a lot of what Ben Simmons did. You know?
Yeah.
And if he can do Lamar Odom stuff, but better, obviously he needs to improve on his free throws, his mid-range game, because Lamar Odom was way better shooter than he was. But he's tall, he's long, he can pass the ball, and you guys have basically the type of Kobe. I'm not saying Anthony Edwards, but I'm not saying Anthony Edwards Kobe, and I'm not saying Carl Anthony Towns Shaq, and I'm not saying your coach is Phil Jackson, but you put a power forward like that, in this NBA era where you need versatile positions at all the positions, it's going to be a killer. But like Jared said, you're going to have to pay up for Ben Simmons. It's not just going to be – I don't think his value in the 76ers are just going to give him up for like a couple players. You know?
I mean, that's why we need that top draft pick. They need something to sell. But when we were looking at Aaron Gordon hard, the reason that Gerson Rosas wanted Aaron Gordon is same as when Covington was playing the power forward. He wants a guy who can switch and defend multiple positions at the power forward spot, and he wants a guy that can grab the rebound and push the break right from under the basket. He doesn't want 2 or 3 passes to get things moving. So that's what we would have. I mean, we would have an elite guy pushing the pace right from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, you think about that guy in transition with Ant. Jeez. I mean, that would be – I mean, they would be easily the most dynamic transition team in the league. With those two on the break, oh, my God. I couldn't imagine.
Pick and roll.
And then you got Towns and Russell, coasting in behind to catch the trailer 3. Good luck.
Yeah, it would be an onslaught, man. I mean, lob after lob after lob, you'd have to pack the paint. It'd be like having Giannis, right? It'd be like those two would equal Giannis in transition, in my opinion. He'd be that good. And Ben Simmons was close to Giannis already this year in transition. I think he had more transition points than Giannis.
Well, I know Chris's take, but like my thing when it comes, it's all about defense. That dude played defense. He was probably the runner-up in Defensive Player of the Year. Have to score on this team. We have enough scorers. Like we can score 60 a game with Cat, Ant, and D'Lo. And this is the off about like talking about Simmons. It's like people wanted like trade D'Lo for Simmons. Like that's not in the works. Like that's not going to happen. So I think the real moral of this story is Simmons is in play if we land the pick, and if he's not, if we don't land the pick, he's probably out of play.
Come here.
Yeah, I mean, like
budding Timberwolves fan.
Hello.
Hey.
What's up?
That's it. He's going to be the new point guard. That's like the point guard of like 2035.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we're always struggling for point guards here, so we'll take it. What's his name?
Owen.
Oh, Owen. Okay. Awesome. So we are. I didn't see the countdown before it went to break, but I would say probably about 7 minutes from knowing our fate. Yeah. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and I wouldn't be opposed even if we kept the pick, like shipping out Malik Beasley and some change for Miles Turner, and then looks like we have someone. Looks like we have Reggie here as well.
What's going on?
Nice.
Going all right.
How's it going?
Go.
Yeah.
What up, Reg?
What's good? I'm doing all right tonight.
Sorry, guys. Speaker's freaking out. All right, we're good.
We're on a countdown right now. We're about 5-7 minutes.
50.
Let's see. I'm just turning the TV on. What I missed so far?
Yeah, we're about 5 minutes from the Destiny. I will say Anthony Edwards was looking really good in that Wolves polo. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I want one of those. That looks fantastic.
I don't know if you'll pull it off quite as good as he might.
No, I wouldn't. No, absolutely. But I
You know.
but
That's okay.
yeah. And Evan, they showed Evan Mobley. He was looking good in his suit as well. So
Did he look skinny?
Has he gained any weight? Right. That's the question.
So
Hit him on that Reggie protein powder.
Man,
So
he weighs about the same as me and got like a whole foot on me.
Oh no, he weighs less than you. I think he weighs like 215.
Yeah, we weigh about the same.
That's
Wow.
We're about the same.
But I mean, his brother is what, a year or two older than him, and I think his brother's like 235. So it's not that surprising. I mean, the kid's what, 19 years old, 20 years old, so he'll get up to 230 probably.
But that's why I say he's a project, though.
What's that?
That's why I say he's a project. He's a
big. Bigs aren't usually good right away. I mean, if you
Okay,
can just
more
play
than-
D and hustle, that's all he needs to do for the first couple of years. Catch
we
a
can't
lot.
afford that, though.
Oh no! If we get the number 2 pick, we're trading it, or number 1. I think it's traded.
I agree
Or
with you.
if we keep it,
Unless it's number 2, like, I mean, can we just Turner and have Mobley? I mean, what let's go. I mean, whatever.
yeah. I mean, I don't think Mobley is going to cost, or I don't think Turner is going to cost one of these picks, 1, 2, or 3.
Nah,
like he'll cost,
Agreed.
Beasley and some salary match. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to dump him almost. I mean, not dump him, but they're not. They have no interest in keeping him in Indiana.
Yeah, he ain't going for a top 5 pick. That's too much for him.
I cannot believe his value has dropped that far. I mean, it was just like a few years ago, he was a DPOY, and like now you're talking Beasley. That's crazy. Like, that's amazing to me. I can't believe it.
This the new league. The ball handlers got more value than your big men nowadays.
Right.
If our Utah guy wasn't on the phone, he would understand what happens when you're just a big that just blocks shots. You can get taken out of the game sometimes.
Exposed.
So here, let me ask you guys this question before we get in it. So the teams with the top 3 odds: Houston, Detroit, and Orlando. Let's make predictions. Which team is going to get screwed out of a top 3 pick?
Orlando
Detroit.
gets screwed. Orlando.
You think Detroit? You think Orlando? Okay.
Orlando. The unrewarded garbage franchise.
Nobody cares about Detroit. Orlando should move.
Orlando should have been moved.
I don't understand, because isn't it a relatively big market though? Like, I mean, you got like Disney World there, and you got like, I don't know. It seems like a decently big market to me, but.
Nah, I think it's at best mid-sized. I don't think it's big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't. That it's not. I don't think historically they've had, the type of opportunities for stars that stars are looking for in the league in terms of making a name for themselves. I mean, that's just my take on it. I mean, who's come out of there, since Penny and Shaq? That, I mean, Dwight Howard was DPOY.
They had a little McGrady run there. Hito Turkoglu style back down there. But
true, McGrady did become the face. You're right. Yep. My bad.
It's a number 18. It's number 18. So
Anthony Edwards was just interviewed. Rachel Nichols says, "What was the biggest experience you had in your rookie year that you can use in the future?" Anthony Edwards' answer: Ricky Rubio. Just having him on and off the court and seeing how hard he works. I'm just saying what the man said.
How hard he works. Works on what?
Oh, man.
It's possible. It's possible that Anthony Edwards sees him more than we do working. I'm not sure. There's an outside shot that he might see more than we do. Maybe.
Yeah. He probably sees a little more.
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet Ben Simmons works on his free throws as well.
I hope he does. Rumor is he doesn't. But
Chris,
I know that's a rumor.
I would buy that, but I'm almost absolutely positive that if there's any extra work that Rubio put in, we would have seen it because Matt Prisbilla would have posted it. I don't see no extra workout videos. We already would have seen it. Come on.
Dude, he lost like 35 pounds from game 1 to game 30, dude. That dude came in looking like, looking chubby.
You talking Matt or Rubio?
I mean, probably both. Probably both.
Okay, hold on. They were just talking to Mobley. All right, so
I haven't seen him in forever. Nazari Muhammad. Oh, are we going now? Is this?
We're going because the Magic have the number 1 pick.
I swear, if we come up at 14, I'm shutting down the stream. Like,
I don't think that's possible.
oh, it's not. Oh, okay.
I think we can only drop like 3.
All right, Golden State 14. Way to go, Rick. Good job, Rick. Way to bring that luck.
When we get to about 8, that's when I care.
Pacers 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, who's this Alex guy on the chat? Good to see you, Alex.
He's another one of our big around the world chat guys that I got with Gerson. So he's good shit.
Oh,
He's a big Yankees fan.
I got a delay.
Unfortunately,
Sorry
I'm
about
on
that.
I'm on a delay. Y'all got it. Hey.
he's a Yankees and a Nets fan.
He's a loser. That's what he is.
We were just talking about Miles Turner and how it's weird that big guys that just block shots are just going down in value. And I said, the Jazz know about that.
Yeah, it's
The draft lottery is going on. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, double
They
check.
got it.
But yeah, I mean the bigs don't have a value like that anymore because you're taking what about 53s a game?
Well, look
At
at
least-
Orlando
Unless you have
fell.
one that can shoot, like Miles Turner.
Wait, right? That's right. Orlando
Oh, the
just
Pelicans.
fell, right? So they're out of the top.
Oh wow! I told you they was gonna get screwed. I told you.
They just
They
did.
have multiple picks.
That
Oh, did they
hurts.
have multiple? I don't know. Or wait, let me look.
Yeah, I think they had multiple because they made a trade in the trade deadline, didn't they?
For
Well,
me, it says
who's-
they only have one, but
Whose pick do they have if they have multiple?
Denver's.
Oh, Denver's not there then.
here we go, number 6.
Aaron Gordon.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
see,
Makes sense.
we're still in this.
This is a
Okay,
heartbreaker.
OKC's at 6.
We're still in this.
This is heartbreaker.
Muhammad,
Is this 5?
Yeah, this is heartbreaker.
We're at 5.
The Magics are out.
Are
This
we
is
at 5 now?
heartbreaker.
yeah, we're at 5.
Oh my
This
goodness!
is the heartbreaker.
Here
I
we
gotta
go.
read these
No.
out loud. I'm
We're
not
getting
watching.
it. We're
Oh,
getting
we
it. I'm
get-
telling you, we're getting it.
Magic,
Yeah,
we're in the top
we're getting
4.
it.
We are in
Read them
the
up.
top
We're getting
4.
it.
Gabe, I want you to live tell me what's happening.
One more pick and we're good.
Wow.
Oh, we are in the top 4.
The worst case scenario is us at 4. Worst case is us at 4.
Yeah,
that
it would
means
be.
That would
Golden
be
State at 4.
stomach punch.
That seems like something they would do to us.
Wow.
Stomach punch.
OKC.
Sorry, Ben. Not going to be your day, Ben. Not going to be your day.
This is it, man. This is our day.
it.
Drum roll,
This
please.
is our day. This is our day.
How do we
What do we
respond
got?
to Alex? Yeah, Alex, we need top 3.
Yep. Yeah, top 3. That's the whole game.
Yeah,
we're
we need a
playing right
third
now.
pick, Alex.
Oh, are we going to commercial? Are we really
Yes.
going to commercial right
Exactly.
now?
Yeah.
Oh,
They gotta
God.
rig it. They gotta put one of the
ESPN's been
cards in
screwing
the
us all year. That's why Edward won defensive
Come on,
picker
man.
didn't win
Oh, but
rookie
you know
of the
what?
year.
No.
ESPN
New
hates
owners
us.
usually get a top pick. New owners usually get a top pick.
I like
That's
it. I like
true.
it.
And we have
New owners-
A-Rod now, so
New
could
owners
that
get a
be?
new- yeah.
I
New
mean,
owners
there's
get
that
a
whole
top pick.
A-Rod thing.
They try to help out a new owner. They usually do that.
Wait,
Mhm.
I'll take it. Even though they won't
So-
be the
some
owners for like
downtime.
2 years, but
While we got some downtime between this commercial break, me and Greg, real interesting bet, and I know Chris and Gabe know about this, but I have the Wolves top 5 for a $50 bar tab. I got 2-1 odds.
Top 5 pick.
I'd let
hey,
you
who is 7th? Hey, I was just told that
Top
we got
5 in
7th
the
and
West.
gave it to the Warriors.
top 5 in the standing.
Hey,
Okay, gotcha.
Do the Warriors have the 7th pick right now? I think we got 7th and gave it to the Warriors. That's what I just got told.
Well, they were just talking. They were just showing Cleveland and Houston.
Because I'm not watching it. Oh yeah, Wolves dropped to 7. Their first round pick goes to Golden State.
Right.
Oh, really?
So we lost.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
All right.
That's okay. That's
I can live
okay.
with that. I can live with that.
That's okay.
I can live with
At
that.
least it's not 4. Thank you, Chris
Yes.
Carlson. Shout out.
That's
All
easier
right,
to live
fire
with.
up your Miles Turner trade scenarios.
That's right. Truthfully, now, and here was the thing about Ben Simmons or Miles Turner, because I think we would have made a play at both, or one or the other. I've been saying, I'm not in love with adding a third max player. Like that gets you in so much trouble financially, where you're not going to be able to pay Nas, you won't be able to pay Jaden McDaniels. You would just be. I mean, it's going to be tough to fill out the rest of your roster. Especially when you have a guy like D'Lo as a max who, gets nicked up sometimes. Like, if you got 3 max guys, those guys better be healthy year round. Shout out to the Nets and Alex.
I'd rather be the Nets, though. I'd rather have those 3 max guys.
Exactly.
Unless one gets hurt.
Whoa.
I'll play those odds.
I know. I mean, in a perfect world, I guess. But they better match.
That's the thing, though. Like, if you got 3 superstars, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Well, superstars and max guys are 2 different things we're talking about.
True.
Like I'm talking about Ben Simmons and D'Lo as 2 max guys, not Durant and Harden. You know what I mean? Like,
Chris, what you're trying to say, you don't want to be the New York Knicks. That's what you're trying to say.
What's that?
You don't want to be the New York Knicks when they have Latrell Sprewell and all those max contract guys, and none of them panned out, and then you had a salary crisis cap for like 6 years. Yeah,
that's what you don't want to be.
But the thing is, wait, am I hearing this correct? Did you guys lose your pick?
To the
number 7.
We got 7.
Damn it! Sorry, guys. I was like, wait a minute, I'm confused here.
That's okay. That's okay. At least it wasn't 4.
Yeah, that's it. We're good on that one.
So who's still in it?
I think Cleveland and Houston.
Who moved up?
I thought it said the Raptors, right? Or did they just?
Hold on.
Because it makes me think.
I thought it said Detroit, Houston, and Durant.
Put up that Tankathon thing again. I want to take a look at it.
Yep. 1 second here. Let's see. Where is it? Here, draft lottery odds.
Because if we would have finished 3rd then, because everyone's always fired up about we won too many games at the end there and that messed up our odds. But, I mean, Orlando just fell out.
As expected.
You don't.
I don't like much of anything going on in Orlando. Like Wendell Carter Jr., I guess. But other than that, I don't like much of what's going on.
Nah, I'm not a fan of Cole Anthony. I'm not a fan of Michael Carter Williams. Wendell Carter.
Is OKC still in there in the fight?
They got that. They have a big in Orlando who's pretty.
Okay. So
tough.
it's the Rockets, Pistons, Cavs, Raptors.
So Cavs moved up and the Raptors jumped up. Yeah. Trying to get that Canadian money.
Yeah, the Raptors.
Yeah, Wendell Carter Jr. is good. And then, I mean, I don't know. You might like Mo Bamba. Who knows? He hasn't played ever.
Mo Bamba. There's a reason why he hasn't played.
Yeah, that's the big reason.
So what do you guys think about Turner?
Raptors at 4.
Raptors at 4. Okay.
What would you guys say about Turner? What would you give up for him?
Cavs at 3. For Turner?
For Turner.
Are they trading?
I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't think you need him.
Cade's going to Detroit. Cade is going to Detroit.
Number 1 pick.
Probably the last place he wanted to be.
Yeah. For sure.
I like Detroit. I like what Detroit's doing, to tell you the truth. I like a lot of guys on Detroit, but I mean, there's no one really that good. I just like them. Like, I like that. Who's that big?
Jeremy Grant.
No, Smith or the guy they just got from Washington, drafted from Washington. Stewart. So I like Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
I like Sidney May.
Tough. Yeah.
I don't know about that point guard they got because he was hurt a lot, but he seems fine.
Oh,
Like,
that's
he
right. I
seems
forgot
solid.
it. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he got hurt
Killian
early in the year.
Hayes.
The
Yeah,
Euro,
Killian.
was that?
Killian Hayes.
Yeah, so I mean, he's kind of a bigger point guard, so I could see him and Cade kind of switching off, running the show a little bit. So that'll be fun. Good for Detroit.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all right.
and no, I like Detroit too. Did you guys see that that jersey that they might bring back with the horse's head on it with the flames? Do you guys think they might bring that back?
That old Grant
That's
Hill.
old Grant Hill. Isn't it the old Grant Hill?
That's one
Yeah,
of the best jerseys in sports.
Didn't hear a word of it, Jared. Drinking
Best
that
jerseys in sports. One of the best jerseys in sports. I don't care what you take.
Dude, so the Miles Turner scene, I don't know why you would want to go after him because he plays center. He's not a power forward, so you're not going to start him over Cat.
Right.
So I mean, you're gonna be wasting an asset for a backup center. He's not a power forward. He can't.
You're right, and neither is Cat. But if you watched
Cat.
what we did the last half of the year, Cat was playing on the perimeter defensively because he's so. Cat really isn't a defensive lockdown at the rim kind of guy. Like he should be able to do it, but he doesn't have the interest to. And the whole second half of the season, he was out using his hands, being big and long and disruptive, and he was playing really well on the perimeter, better than anywhere he's ever played defense for us.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you put Turner now at the rim, protecting the rim. You have Cat running around with the bigs like he was doing the whole second half of the year and actually doing it pretty solid. And you've got Jaden McDaniels as the super long small forward. And you just now you've got some guys that are long, at least can protect the rim and play some D. I mean,
I don't know.
and he's making 17 a year. It's not like you're breaking the bank for him. Shoots 35% from three. Not bad.
I mean,
I think Chris knows exactly what I'm about to say.
He plays defense.
I love guys. And Miles Turner's plays defense. Like we're the 29th team in the NBA with our big 2-game span. That's what Miles Turner does.
But I have this question though. I have this question: with everybody doing the switching on offense and on defense, wouldn't you just pull Miles from the rim? And now you got Cat back there, and you got the same issue that we've had for the last 6-7 years. 6 years.
Right, but I'd rather pull Miles from the rim and have Cat back there than pull Cat from the rim and have Vanderbilt back there.
We got to get a power forward this summer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we got to get a power forward
it's not like you could shake a tree and have a 6'9" dude that's got a 40-inch vertical and likes to play defense fall out of it. Like
so you
got to have him somewhere. And on our roster, we've got Jaden McDaniels as the only guy that I would even dream of starting at power forward, and I think he's a better small forward. So we've got nothing.
Forward.
We got nothing.
So here's my biggest worry, right? I get all right. So I get the 35% from three. That's pretty good. That's a number that's trending up for him, isn't it? That's a number trending up for him. So it's not like he's been shooting that his whole career.
Last
my
3 years,
biggest thing. Okay, that's not bad. I live with that, and I like that he plays D. I agree. We need a rim stopper. Cat's not that guy. I completely agree with that. The thing that I'm really worried about is Miles Turner is still somewhat of a throwback, right? When you think about his playmaking, when you think about his ball handling, when you think about him on the perimeter, he's still kind of a throwback center. So my only hesitation is, do we make that move, or instead either through the draft or trade through the draft or trade for someone young, get somebody who's big and can bring a little bit more than Miles can bring, that's a little bit more modern, right? That's not so isolated on the perimeter. That's my biggest concern with Miles Turner. But I love the arguments you guys made.
He's 24 years old, so it's not like he's old. He's been around for a while. He's only 24. Last year he shot bad from three compared to his rest of his years. He shot like 34% last year. So It's
But I mean,
trending,
you know what I
down.
do on this
that's
podcast?
still a
honestly.
guy.
You know what I do on this podcast a lot? I talk about defense. So I'm going to flip this to Gerson. What happened to your boy
Defensive player of the year. I know where you're going with this, Jared, you punk ass mofo. Yeah, well, like I said, I tell people, I mean, the NBA era is about you need to have a stretch 5 now to play defense, you know, basically. Not a stretch 4. You got to go down to stretch 5 because NBA teams now, we're getting players like Marquise Morris starting at center, you know, or is it Marcus Morris or Marquise? Whatever Morris brothers that played for the Clippers. It just, Rudy's a great interior defensive player. He actually affects the mid-range too. If you go look at Paul George, he took a shit ton of threes. He was making them. And when Rudy was at him during the mid-range, I believe he was shooting like 37%. But the thing is, the Jazz just got killed by the three. And they live and die by the threes, and they obviously died by it. But I don't know, man. Like I think players like Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis. This is the DeAndre Ayton now in Phoenix. These are the centers you are looking for. Carl Anthony Towns, obviously one of the best, but he doesn't play defense. No offense, guys. It's just, and he can improve though. I think
He blocked 2 shots a game. I mean, he's okay.
If you get the right coaching around Carl Anthony Towns, he can improve his defense because he's athletic. He just needs to be, I don't know, man, someone needs to slap him upside the head and tell him to toughen up, you know, because.
So here's my question about him.
Yep.
So when you've got a point guard like D'Angelo Russell, and who I like him, but he's not locking people down on the perimeter. And when you got all the other guys we got on the perimeter, which are kind of letting straight line drives just fly to the basket, what do you expect? Like, it's
got to be a whole men's mindset. The whole team got to change. The whole team got to change their mindset.
Exactly.
But
that's why I wanted us to get PJ.
The Jazz defense
culture.
They basically told the perimeter, like the guy that's driving in, said, "Go ahead, drive to the middle. Let's see if you can beat Rudy Gobert."
Because you have a guy that can only do one thing. If Karl Anthony Towns blocked shots like Rudy Gobert, they would already have him shrined in the Hall of Fame. Like,
right.
So I mean, you're not going to have a guy that's the defensive player of the year and the best shooting big in the history of the NBA, or else we wouldn't be having this talk about getting in the top 3 of the draft. We'd be still watching playoffs. So one thing that was really interesting to me right at the end of the year is they talked to Chris Finch about the power forward position. And he said it was almost like a setup where him and Rosas were in an interview. And they asked him about, well, what's your plan on the power forward? And he said, sometimes you have to zig when the rest of the league is zagging. And that's why I think he's going to go with the big. That's why I think he's going to go with something like Miles Turner, or at least make a shot at it, because the whole league is going small now. And with a guy like Karl Anthony Towns as a 7-footer that shoots 8 threes a game, that gives you range to have another guy play down in the post because your guy's not there, you know? So like it gives you this freedom to be creative. And I'm telling you, I think he's going to make a play for him. And with Ben Simmons now being on the market, I don't think that I think there's going to be less buyers for Turner, and maybe his price will go down.
But what are you giving? That's my question. What are you going to give up for Miles Turner?
What would I give up?
No, what are the T-Wolves going to give up for Miles Turner?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'll tell you what I'd give up. I would give up.
But it got to make sense for them too. You can't just say who you want to give up, you know?
No, I understand how trades work. I would give up Beasley, who is still young. I would give up Culver, who you can like him or not. You can try to see if you can make something out of him. And if not, you can cut that $8 million or $6 million salary gone. Mm-hmm. And I would give up probably a future first. See if you'd have to do that, like a protected first. If not, if they don't want, it is a lot. But you got to give something away to get something.
Yeah, but
hold on. You asked me a question. Let me finish. My second thing I would give up, if basically it's Ron Beasley, if they don't want Beasley, which is fine, but they would have then Beasley, they would have the cat from the Nets, LeVert, and they would have Brogdon, running around on the outside. You know, that's shooters, that's athletic players, and then you still got Sabonis. That's not a bad squad in the East. But if they don't want that, what's that?
What if they say they want McDaniels and
well, then you don't give it to them. Then you don't. Well, see, now that's the thing. That's the thing. Rubio is intriguing for them too. If you go Rubio in a pick and maybe some filler, you're like, well, why would they want that? Well, Rubio's on an expiring and their whole team's on expiring, almost except for Brogdon, Sabonis, and LeVert. So now you have Brogdon, Sabonis, LeVert, which are your three guys that you're going to build around. And you would have, I think, like 35, 40 million in salary coming next year in salary cap, where you can go out and go get your guy a fourth near star at max level. Now you've got something to play with for a guy that you're not really interested in keeping in Turner anyways. I mean, I think we've got options that we can get to make it interesting.
So that I think you're giving up way too much, Chris. I'll just say that. We just started this Miles Turner conversation off by saying his value's diminished. Come on. You're talking one of the highest volume, best three-point shooters in the league this past year. Well, really for 2 years. I mean, he only had, 12 games 2 years ago? But in those 12 games, he lit it up. Then he came back next year, lit it up, shot a high percentage, high volume. So I think Beasley's value alone should be enough to grab Turner. I mean, in my opinion, that's how I see it.
I'm telling you. So when I give trade things, I say like, this is like the most I would give for this guy. Like that's my top end. I mean, obviously, I would give less. You know, I would always want to give less. That's not where I start my negotiation. But I mean, the thing about Beasley is, how does Beasley fit on our roster? Like Beasley's kind of one of those guys that we're going to have to maybe move.
So we've got
salary cap wise,
we need shooting.
We've kind of talked recently, like Beasley coming off the bench. Like, what do you guys feel about coming off the bench? Because, like, you know, Chris made up an interesting point. You know, it's really hard to have your starters average 80 points a game, and kind of that firepower. So how would Beasley coming off the bench? And
I thought it would be that when once Ant took his leap and got more comfortable with the game. So
I don't think it's a question.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big issue right there, because I know they wanted to try see if they could do them as shooting guard or small forward, but I think they're just too small to make it work. Beasley's 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah, I mean, he hustles, he tries hard, but I mean, he needs his shots. Beasley's going to need to get 15 shots a game, and he's not getting that with the starters.
Not with the starters.
So if he plays on the second unit, he can have all the shots he wants.
And see, and that's why I was hoping Culver panned out, just so he could be, you know, just a 3-and-D kind of guy. You know, somebody that does the hustle work.
You know who else hustles? You know,
Vanderbilt.
Sure does.
I don't know. I missed it. Who you said? You know who else who hustles? I missed it.
I think he's having some issues with his.
I think that Captain Coke spilt on his microphone.
Yeah, for sure. And Chris, I can't believe we've got.
Who plays defense? You know who else hustles and tries hard on defense? Josh Okogie. He hustled and he plays hard on defense, but he don't do it.
Oh my God! Yeah, don't even start.
Yeah, that ship
don't do it.
I mean, I wouldn't mind him on the roster, but I'm not paying him much.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him on the roster either. I don't think he's like a role player, but yeah, I definitely see Beasley coming off the bench. But Chris, I can't believe it. We've gone 54 minutes and 41 seconds, and we haven't even mentioned the Wolves' best player of all time, Naz Reid.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I did mention him.
Oh, you did?
I think I said that I would not trade him if they asked for him.
I wouldn't either. On that contract that he's on, like, well, he's an absolute steal. I think he's one of the biggest steals in the league right now.
I think he is the biggest steal in the league. And you know what? If we don't get a power forward, I think that is our power forward. And I'm perfectly happy with that.
Starting 30 minutes a game?
He made me
I would be happy to play him 25, 30 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I need him. What I love about him is that he can mimic almost everything Cat does offensively. So when that second unit comes in, you don't really have to change what you're doing. You can still run pick and rolls. You can still run pick and pops. You can still post him up. I mean, I think he's better in post up than Cat is. Probably a better finisher on a pick and roll too, to tell you the truth. But
I mean, that's asking a lot. That's saying a lot, Chris. Come on, better than Cat. Come on,
let's be real.
Pick and roll.
I know you love it. Listen, I know you love the man. No. Listen, I know you love the man, but Cat is historically great. Don't take it away from him.
Yeah, Cat might be like the third best offensive center in the league.
This might be a big Timberwolves podcast, but Gerson, who are the Jazz looking at in the offseason?
Oh man, anybody that can play defense and score on the center position. I think they might actually think about trading Rudy, and I wouldn't be shocked because the new owner Ryan Smith, he's different. He just has a different vibe. He's not about old school, the Miller style where we're gonna let the players and the coach. Well, we're gonna let the coaching staff and the managers and all them solve it. No, this guy brought in Dwayne Wade, dude, like to the Jazz. This guy is he cared about Black Lives Matter. After we got torched by the whole Russell Westbrook, the whole Utah racist. He wants to change the culture. He wants to change everything. He put scholarships to minorities. He put scholarships and everything. Every win that we got, he wants to change the culture. He doesn't give a crap about the past of what the Jazz were. And I believe he's going to make a move because that loss was embarrassing for the Jazz. And they're actually going to have to make a move. And that's going to be the statement they make. It's either they trade Rudy or, they let Conley walk and they start building differently. I don't want Conley back. He's washed up.
I wouldn't.
He's old.
I think Conley's really overrated. And
his contract, I think his contract expires though this year.
Yeah, it does.
So
but that's the thing.
I mean, the Jazz are in a tough spot because they don't have. They've got a lot of guys that are getting old that play very key roles. Like
this was their year.
You got Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is on a slide. You got Conley. He's on a slide. You got, I don't know, Royce O'Neal. How much more are you going to squeeze out of that guy?
Didn't
he's
Rudy's
okay.
Contract just kick in. Then he just signed for the $200 million.
Who did? Rudy.
Rudy's the most. I think he's a top.
You got that Supermax. Yeah, Supermax.
Paid in the league.
You got the $200 million contract. Yeah.
One of the best things that happened to the Timberwolves is Rudy Gobert getting that spot over Karl Anthony Towns in All NBA. Saved us about $40 million.
Yep.
Thank you. We'll take the All-Star game over him. He can have that All NBA and get that extra $40 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would personally. I would never give Rudy Gobert that kind of money. Just for me,
but you have to.
I don't know.
What were they going to do?
Yeah. Let him walk.
You let him walk, yeah.
Oh,
no, you have to pay. Dude, we're not bad. We don't have people lining up at the door saying, "Hey, we're going to play for you guys. Hello, what's up?" They don't line up down here. They ask you what the nightlife is, and we tell them, "Hey, we go to bed at 10 o'clock. We got to go to church on Sunday." So what do you
Bring your own booze. Bring your own booze to the bar.
Yeah,
so, here's the interesting thing about you were talking about how you don't have people lining up for free agents. That's the same thing with the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves with Gerson Rosas says that's why I think we picked up Rubio. That's why I think we've got $8 million in Juancho is we're going to have to do sign and trades. That's how we do free agency is we look at other teams' rosters, guys that they're not using, guys that they might be undervaluing, and we're going to do sign and trades. We're never going to be under the cap to get a free agent. And if we are, they're not going to come here. That's a valuable guy. Mm-hmm. So do you guys, I know this is kind of a weird question, but is there any guys in the league, go Timberwolves is right, that you guys think might be undervalued or on another team that isn't getting any run that you would like to see? I got a couple names, but that you would like to see on the Wolves.
Simmons.
Simmons. No, but like a real. I'm talking like
I know it.
Like an 8th, 9th guy, 10th guy.
Are you talking like a bench role guy or like a role player?
I'm talking like so we got Malik Beasley as a
Right.
kind of like a throw-in, and we turned him into a legitimate starting
Starter
level
slash,
six-man level guy. So
Yep.
the guys here, I'll give you the two names that I have in mind.
I already know where you're going.
I don't think you
You're
do,
going to
but
Portland, aren't you? Going to
no,
Portland?
I'm not.
Oh,
well,
okay.
actually, I could be because I really like Zach Collins in Portland as a guy who's always been hurt, but
always hurt.
Bol is one of my favorite guys. I'd love to try to sneak him out of Denver to see what would happen if he gets signed. But more importantly, what's his name? Brandon Clark. So that was a guy that everybody was high on us kind of drafting, and then he fell to Memphis, and he pretty much fell completely out of their rotation. And he's the kind of guy that it's why I love Giannis Antetokounmpo in the beginning of his career. It's why I love Kevin Love in the beginning of the year, because they're the kind of guys that will give you tons of production without running a play for them. Like rebounds, steals, blocks, extra plays without him taking many shots, like without him messing up the fact that D'Lo is going to get 20 shots, Cat's going to get 20, and Edwards is going to get 20. Like those are the kind of guys I want to go for. Some guy kind of like a Vanderbilt, but like a rich man's Vanderbilt. That's what I think. Brandon Clark.
But you do realize Brandon Clark was hurt this year, right? Like that was amazing.
But I do know that he was healthy the last 20 games, and he had coach did not plays for the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
Memphis may not need him either. I think they gotta make a decision on Jaren this summer. Yeah, Triple J this summer. And I think they'll let him hit restricted.
And they drafted that big thick dude from Michigan State, who they liked a lot. The guy, I forget who he was, but he looks like he's 65 years old. But he's like 20. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
he's
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
There's
like Gary Trent
that's on this podcast that has a lot of Memphis ties. I'll give you a clue. He's in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, it's a real basic name. Something junior maybe even, or senior. No, I think he's a senior. Something senior. I think he's got a kid. And he's like a rookie. I forget his name. Anyways.
Memphis?
Yeah. Just drafted him last year in the second. Doesn't matter. All I'm saying is Brandon Clark.
Wait a minute. I think I know who it is. Was it Tillman?
Tillman, yes.
That's it. Yeah. Because he did play in the playing game, hit the corner three.
Yeah, I mean that guy's kind of taken over. So is there any guys like that level that you guys are interested in? Because that's what I think we're gonna go for. I think we're signing and trading at least somebody. What you got?
Role players.
So all right, so just a quick question I have for you, and then I'll leave you with my guy. All right. So my question is, so I see you're high on Turner and you're high on Clark. These two are very similar in my eyes, right? They're both high energy guys, do a ton of things on the defensive end, just an asset in terms of bringing it every single night. Both, you know what I mean? But here's my question to you, Chris, and to everybody else. Has the NBA moved beyond the place where you play guys who you wouldn't run plays for, right? Are we at a place now where every franchise wants to be able to start 5 guys that they can run plays for at any given moment? Because you can't run plays for Brandon Clark because he's not a great shooter and he doesn't have a handle and he's not a great decision maker.
Brandon Clark plays defense. That's what the Timberwolves need. They need somebody to play defense, and I think that's what we're kind of getting at here with is Turner and Clark both play defense.
But Jared, here's what I'm saying. I think you're not understanding my question, right? What I'm saying is is the NBA at the point now where you get guys who not only can play defense but also bring these other skills to the table, right? Are guys that skilled now where you don't have to sign defensive specialists? You don't have to sign Okogis for your roster anymore to fill in because you can find somebody who can shoot the 3 and handle and play defense.
Well, if we look at Milwaukee starts DiVincenzo. I mean, he's not I don't think he's a defensive specialist. You know, before he got hurt, he just what do we think of him? Just a shooter? So I think that's the skill you got to have.
I mean, you got who's the guy out in the Suns with the C, what's his name, with the dreads? Crowder. I mean, so there's guys. I think what it comes down to is if you've got high level, like needy offensive players like Cat, D'Lo, Edwards, you don't have room for many more. You know what I mean? Like that's why if we could put Brandon Clark and Jaden McDaniels in there. So you just want a guy, I think, in those other spots that the other team can't ignore. Like Reggie points out with Rubio. Like you don't want many guys like Rubio out there where they can just be like, nah, I'm going to double this guy without worry. You want a guy, or even like Turner. If Turner's standing in the short corner, you still got to honor that. He might not ever shoot it, but you're taking a defender. I mean, and what I like about those guys is they're not going to cost $20 million.
Yeah.
Like that's one problem that I would have if we got Cade Cunningham, let's say. So let's say you want to keep Edwards, D'Lo, and Karl Anthony Towns for the future. Cade Cunningham in 4 years is going to be looking at a max. What do you do? Like it's not a bad problem to have.
You trade D'Lo.
Exactly. You move somebody, but if you can get a guy that can be super productive, just doing dirty stuff, and you can get him for 6, 7, 8 million, and he can start, that's huge. You know.
I hear you. All right, I'll give you my pick now. So my guy's from Portland. It's Anthony Simons.
I like him.
Oh yeah. The dunk contest cat.
But Portland's in a whole messy situation right now. They're definitely rebuild.
What would you do? What would you do if you're Portland?
Trade Dame for
whatever you can get.
For Simmons.
So they're saying McCollum for Simmons.
They're not gonna. No, I would not. McCollum's not that great. He just plays. He just shoots.
Well,
CJ sweet with it. CJ's a borderline
I like CJ
all-star.
a lot. I like CJ a lot, but he's what, 30? He's 30 maybe now. Old? I think so, or 29.
So I think you can move. I think you can move CJ, and you start Simmons. You start Anthony Simmons. Simons. His name is Anthony Simons.
CJ's going to be 30 this year, next season.
Yeah.
So to answer Chris's and Elroy's, I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, Elroy. That's you guys' question, Chris. The guy that I would look at for the T-Wolf, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with him, but Chris Boucher.
I love him. I loved him. I wanted us to get him last year.
Yeah.
I think he would be a great fit because he can play defense and he can stretch that floor. You can move Cat to the power forward if you want, and he can shoot. Yeah, and I think he'd be a great. He's just one of those. He reminds me so much. It's funny because he's on the same team, Pascal Siakam. You know, but like he's not going to be too expensive. We'll see what his price is. You know, let's dig it in. You know, maybe a future first round pick, not next year, obviously, but maybe let's see what it is. You know, let's see what they need.
One of the Warriors had us doing a mock trade for Siakam, and I hate it. I really did.
You're not going to want him. I don't think Siakam. I think Siakam already reached his ceiling. That's the thing.
That's a good ceiling, though.
Yeah, it is.
It's a nice ceiling.
I disagree with that. 100% disagree.
You're going to pay for that ceiling, though. You're going to pay for that ceiling. That's
maxed out.
He's not at his ceiling. He's nowhere near his ceiling. I disagree with that.
Simmons is out of the question that we didn't land the pick, as far as I'm concerned. I was the guy that was in the Simmons bandwagon, but like without the pick, can't make it happen.
Right.
Definitely not. No.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, you can if you do unprotected first round pick for next year.
We can't because we traded this year. So the first one we can trade is 2 years.
You can't do it years in a row, right?
Stipend rule or whatever it's called. Stipend. D'Lo could be in play. I don't want to do it, but I could see D'Lo going to D'Lo in pieces. They were saying D'Lo and Beasley was what everyone was saying for something like Simmons and George Hill would work. I just don't think that's enough of an upgrade for us.
Yeah, Hill and Simmons.
What's that?
Hill. So you don't think adding Simmons and Hill and losing D'Lo and Beasley is enough of an upgrade?
I don't know. I mean, so the problem I have with that is I love Simmons as a power forward.
Yeah.
I don't love him so much as a point guard. So then who do we have at point guard? You know, you don't want to go Rubio and Simmons on the same roster, you know,
Definitely.
starting.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I can't do anything that involves D'Lo. For me, I can't do.
So what about this? What about this roster? What about this lineup? What if you put the ball in Ant's hands most of the game as the point, and you let Simmons bring it up some, you know, here and there,
Right?
And then you run your offense much like Finch did in New Orleans
Through the
Right.
bigs.
You just run it through the bigs, and you run it through Cat, through Simmons down low. You have cutters and shooters off of that, and then when those guys aren't running the offense, it's all Ant, right? That's still more than enough offense, in my opinion.
I would like that a lot better if we still had Beasley.
I agree.
I mean,
I think Ben Simmons needs a change of role because the point guard position hasn't worked for his career, and I think if you move into power forward, he can open up his offense a little more. He can open up other players, make them better. Let's see what he can do. And if you guys trade D'Lo, it's not going to happen. He's going to be a starting point guard. And like Chris says, you don't want to do it. But the thing is, you can't trade next year's first round pick. You don't have a first round pick this year. So I'm sorry to say this to you guys, but you're not getting Ben Simmons unless you're making a lucrative deal. And they're not going to take a lucrative deal because their roster is constructed to not spend too much. They know they have a
you're talking about
I was the biggest Ben Simmons guy that there ever was on this podcast. I really was. I was all about Ben Simmons. I was all in, but without the pick, we can't do it. And I'm real happy to move on to let's get Miles Turner. That's what I say.
What about Damian Lillard? You guys never talk about Damian Lillard, T-Wolf. Maybe make a.
I don't want him.
You don't want him?
No.
So
I don't like him.
Wait, what?
So here's my problem with Damian Lillard. Who else on Damian Lillard's team eats?
CJ McCollum.
Nurkic.
Sometimes, what's he average? 16 points? He's been there for what? It's been there for what? 10 years and hasn't made an All-Star game next to him?
Well, I mean, he got up to the low 20s. 23, I think, was his high, right?
So now we've got Cat and Anthony Edwards. I mean, what we'd have to give up for Damian Lillard, but I wouldn't give up Anthony Edwards for Damian Lillard.
Edwards. No.
If we're talking just D'Lo for him, I don't know why Portland would do that, but if we would do that, I mean, now you got Damian Lillard, Edwards, and Cat. I don't think that works. I don't see how that works.
Gabe, what do you want?
Lillard's probably worse defender than D'Lo.
Lillard, I don't know. I would take a chance. I don't know if I would give up Edwards for him, but I mean, if we're just giving up D'Lo for Dame Lillard, I think you got to give it a shot. Particularly, you never know when you're going to get another Karl Anthony Towns. So I would definitely give it a shot.
Did somebody? Why are we talking about D'Lo for Lillard? That's an absurd proposition.
Portland wouldn't do it.
Podcast right
Never. Yeah, you would have to give up Ant and D'Lo and probably some picks and some assets. Like
exactly.
He's that good. Like that's how high his value is. The only way we get Dame Lillard is if he wants to come here and we mortgage our future and give him some, in my opinion, right?
And Damian Lillard, he's brought the Blazers to the finals a couple of times, right?
To the Western Conference Finals, yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't trust him. That was my point. That's my point. Is he gets knocked out of the playoffs a lot too?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone gets knocked out, but I don't trust him.
He got swept by Rondo, Cousins, and Ant Davis years ago.
That's right.
He got swept.
Playoff
Rondo. Out.
Yeah, that's playoff Rondo though. That's a different guy.
Yeah, that's guy.
That's the Finch. That's the Finch Pels.
I'm telling you, man, they're good. Finch is what makes coaches worthy.
Coach matters.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I always tell Garrison that coaches don't matter unless it's Chris Finch. Then he matters.
Yeah. Now we can talk.
You know, who is somebody that I'd like to see on our roster? Who's been toiling on a roster for a long time? Buddy Hield. I'd like to see Buddy Hield.
I wanted us to draft him. I honestly did. I love Buddy Hield coming out of college.
That contract, though, I mean, not worth it. I mean,
how bad is it?
It's max. It's the max. It's max. He was one of those max players.
He got maxed?
Yeah, he got maxed.
What?
It's right up there.
It's the king, bro.
Didn't he never averaged more than like 15 points a game, has he?
Bro, I think he thought he was the next Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God.
If it's not a max, it's right up there. I know. I thought it was like 25. So I got a funny thing that I heard just recently about the ownership thing, just to kind of switch gears. We were talking about ownership a little bit ago. Somebody put a blurb out there when they were talking about the Sixers that Jerry Colangelo put a bid in on the Timberwolves, with obviously billionaires. And Jerry Colangelo was shot down right away because he was going to move the team. But that was one of the bids that was in with against A-Rod's bid.
People might not like to hear that news. I love that news because that tells me that the team is not going to move. Me, Chris, and Gabe. I don't know where you're from, Elroy, but me, Chris, and Gabe are all from Minnesota. This team is important to us. We got a lot invested. Yeah, we got a lot invested in this team.
Man, I've been here for over 35 years now, and been cheering since attending the Wolves playoff games in the 90s.
So that
I know my boy Gerson will say move him to Vegas in a heartbeat, but that's Gerson's own damn problem.
Yeah, I love my Jazz. I can say this: there's 2 times I cried as a Jazz fan. When fucking Michael Jordan did that push off and beat us. And when Gail Miller, the wife of Larry H. Miller, said that the Jazz will stay in Utah forever, they can never sell them.
Wow.
We have a lot of actually like not Jordan haters, but we have a lot of LeBron guys on this podcast. So when you say Bill Russell push off, we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that was the second time I cried when not cried like a little bitch, but like a tear comes down my eye. I'm like, hell yeah, as a Jazz fan, because she's in her video she said the Utah Jazz will be Utah forever, and that was the contract she made with the NBA. You can't move the team out of Utah.
You should move the name.
You can.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the name doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
That's some cultural appropriation right there.
Yeah,
I was waiting for the polygamous Utah. That's what I would wait.
Right. Right.
Something like that, or the Mormon Utah.
Right. Jared, I got a question for you. You ready for a hot
sister
take?
Wives? The Utah sister wives?
My kids just ran Alexa upstairs, so I'm ready for it.
Who would you rather have for the next 10 years? If you had to give a 10-year contract, max contract for 10 years, who would you rather have, Karl Anthony Towns or Jokic?
Ooh. Cat.
I would agree with Cat only because I think that his athletic ability, which isn't that much better, age is better. I think that if Jokic, whatever, if he loses half a step, he might be looking at Marc Gasol type.
I'll tell you this much. You guys know. Anybody that knows I'm the biggest Jokic lover around, I will ride that guy to the sun. Jokic is my guy. But Cat is younger. He can shoot the three. He just does a lot more than people are really willing to admit. He can pass the ball pretty elitely. He's good.
So what does Jokic do? Please.
He can do all that, except he's kind of like a fat, slow guy, like at the YMCA that does that to you.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's a better defensive player than Cat, that's for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
So
Here's what I'm going to say.
He does everything Town does, and he's a better passer by a mile. I'll tell you that.
I wouldn't say by a mile, but he's definitely a better passer. But he's definitely a far worse shooter.
Here's what I love about Jokic. He goes home and rides like horse and carriages around. That's what I love about Nikola Jokic. Are you guys seeing this?
He gets down, man. I like him. I'm not an anti-Jokic guy by any means.
No, I love Jokic. Yeah.
What are you saying?
I don't know what Jokic's exact numbers are from 3, but I would assume that Cats are a lot better. I love Jokic. But you guys know that. Like I am the biggest Jokic supporter in the country. I know Gerson knows that. I know Chris and Gabe know that. Like I talk about him almost every podcast. I love Jokic, but I'll take Cat. And it kind of kills me to say that because I love it. But like Cat's good and he's young.
Here's the thing. Do you guys think Cat ever has a chance of winning MVP?
No.
You don't think so? Okay.
Not on this roster.
The only reason why I say this though is because, I mean, you think of a player like Giannis, you think of a player like Joel. I think Joel Embiid will eventually, his knee will break down. He's just too injury, like he's already rusty, you know. But the thing is, MVP, you have to win, and until the Timberwolves can prove that they can win consistently, then he'll get MVP.
I don't think a big man will win MVP. I mean, that's super rare right now.
Interesting side note: me and Gerson had a little friendly bet, and I had to double down on it because I had the Timberwolves making the playoffs, and he said hell no, and I lost that bet. So I had to double down on it. We had Jokic versus Embiid for most first place votes. So I got to call him out on that one.
Hey, he got hurt. Embiid got hurt.
Elroy, what did you have to say?
I think Towns doesn't make it. Simply, on another roster he'd be all right, but I think on this roster it's Ant. I don't think he can be an MVP with Ant on the roster. I think Ant's got just a bunch of near MVP years on his coming up here pretty soon.
At least getting votes.
How come you guys don't talk about how he got robbed as the Rookie of the Year? Is that not one of the topics?
I mean, it can be a topic, but I mean, we had a whole podcast about it, and I said there's no way the NBA is going to let Anthony Edwards win it. I mean, this is not a legit. These aren't legit votes. We're flyover country. We're flyover country, and LaMelo Ball was, the golden goose for ESPN for the whole year. Man, they were riding him like a show pony. Man, they weren't going to let him not.
What bothers me about LaMelo is he got 85% of the first place votes. Like that's way too much.
85
way too much.
I'd like to know what the Simmons Mitchell race was, because this year was a lot like that year. Right. Where Mitchell just had way better numbers, and they just gave it to Simmons because they're never going to. Because he's in Utah. Yeah.
It was going to happen no matter what.
Well, here's the thing: is there any chance that Cade Cunningham doesn't win Rookie of the Year?
No.
It's already done. Like you can set in stone it right now. Unless the only way I can see that happening is if he gets hurt. But
I would say this: I think Evan Mobley is going to get slept on this draft, even if he gets drafted number 2. Like that dude's good. Like he's good. He can play defense. He can shoot, extend the floor. Like Mobley is super underrated in this draft, even if he's at number 2.
But big men just take a little bit longer. So I mean, Rookie of the Year. I mean, they look at scoring, except for this year. Then they look at Twitter likes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Jalen Suggs? Do you guys think he's actually the real deal? Because I'm not a big Jalen Suggs guy.
I am also not a big Jalen Suggs guy, and I'll jump in right away and say why I don't like. I just don't think he shoots the 3 all that well. I think he's kind of pretty much at ceiling in college, which is kind of crazy because he reminds me a lot of a super he reminds me of kind of like DeJounte Murray in a way. He can play defense, he's long and he's big, but he just doesn't do a whole lot other than that in my circumstances.
What is he, 6'4"? 6'3"?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think I heard today.
I know Chris will tell you about his
same,
alligator arms.
He does. He has the same measurements as Jalen Noel.
Okay.
So I mean, he's like an okay size power forward or point guard.
Yeah.
He's thick. He's thick. He's got some thickness to him, but I'm not. So I don't think he's got the explosion he needs. And his shot's not there. I mean, his shot can come. He doesn't have an ugly shot. I would not. I mean, so when I look at all these prospects, I don't take time looking at them like super in depth. I look at them for a Timberwolves perspective. And if I see a guy that I don't want on the Timberwolves or I don't think is worth the draft spot for the Timberwolves, I move on. And I don't see him just because he's not going to beat out D'Lo ever, I don't think. So
No,
move on.
not at all.
I'm gonna throw this question to everybody in the room, but I'm gonna throw it to Gabe first.
I have one more response on that before you go, Jared.
Go ahead,
His ceiling's Tyus Jones. Maybe he's a backup point guard. I don't see him. I don't see him logging big minutes.
I don't like him at all.
That's a hot take.
I think
he's gonna be fine.
My point was basically this: so I think Jalen Green is being kind of slept on in this draft a little bit. He played in the G League this last year, and I think these G League guys aren't getting enough love because they played in the G League and they didn't play in college basketball. But I'm going to throw this to Gabe. Mm-hmm. Where do you think Jalen Green lands? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7?
8. 4.
I could see him. I'm looking at some mock drafts right now, and some people even have him as high as 2. But I think that the top 3 are set. I could definitely see him going to the Raptors or the Magic. I think here's the thing. I think once Green goes, Kuminga comes right after him. I think that's kind of the tier where they're all at. And it's definitely an interesting new opportunity for players to go to the G League and make a little money right off rather than go to college. I wonder how many people who was that guy that went to Australia?
Brandon Jennings.
Yeah, Brandon Jennings.
Yeah, he went to Italy. That's what I was gonna jump in and say. He went to Italy. He skipped college, went to Italy for when he came over here, he was real good.
There's a big guy. There's a big guy that went to Australia and was terrible. And I think
LaMelo Ball went to Australia, but okay.
And I think he got drafted in the 2nd round, but that was like 8 years ago. I'm talking about.
Yeah, and also I think it will matter. Didn't the Supreme Court just rule on something where college players can get paid a little bit? Yeah, I believe they just ruled on that. So, it's going to be interesting to see some of these, like Jalen Green or Kuminga, them coming in and coming from, I don't know, it's debatable how much better talent the G League is than college basketball, but, I mean, that's definitely a new step for them to take.
I don't think
they dropped.
And just talk about, so we're talking about college players getting paid, like what do you think is a good base set for college players to get paid? Because my answer was really kind of out there, and I mentioned this kind of on a similar podcast, and I said $50,000 a year, but at the same point in time, it doesn't matter where you play. If you're playing at Alabama or Clemson in football, we'll say, are you making $50K a year? And if you're playing at Central Michigan, what are you making at Central Michigan?
I'll jump in first on that. I think it should be – it's tough because obviously, let's use a football analogy. Trevor Lawrence is bringing in a lot more money to that school than, some second-string offensive lineman. So, do they get paid the same? It's a lot different. I think it should be a percentage of the revenue brought in. You somehow you calculate all the revenue that comes in and then make an assessment and then give a certain percentage to your players, because like you said, a university like Central Michigan is not going to have the same amount of revenue that Alabama is going to have. So I wonder what your guys' take on that, but just go ahead, whoever wants to go.
I think so. I think So we're in the modern era, right, where we have access to metadata and analytical data that is like really, so at some points it's like ridiculous, right? We have so much data. Every organization has so much data on what works for them and how they operate that they can make decisions to make their organization, more impactful or reach their goals or what have you. I think this is no different, right? You look at college sports, you look at these institutions, they have data on how they're making their money, what works for them, right? You can get all of this. We have all of this ability to capture, for instance, like marketing data. You know what I mean? So I think really the solution is to, it has to be a modern one. Whatever the solution is, it has to be a modern solution that uses the tools, uses technology to come to a objectively fair conclusion for each player. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's kind of a nerdy answer, but the reality is we have the capability, right? Like we have the tools as a society.
The thing that's tough about a couple of those things, like Gabe, even what you were saying is, so I saw a thing 4 or 5 years ago that they said the average Texas, because they bring in the most money, the average Texas football player's value to the university is $100,000 a year. That's how much the average on their 85-man roster in college brings in. But here's the problem. If you say, okay, well, the Texas players are going to get the most, right? Because they're bringing in the most revenue. How is
You're breaking up a little bit.
How are other teams going to ever, how is that not going to make it just the Yankees, in college basketball and college football? You're going to have teams like Duke that are bringing in tons of revenue. And that's where everyone's going to go because they're going to get paid. And now you're not going to have guys going like, why is we not go to Memphis? Or,
oh man, that was hard.
Stay in Georgia. Like you're going to have, money is going to just skew it even worse. So I don't know. How the answer is, but 50,000 seems like it might be a little steep. If you bring, but then it's like, what sports, Are you doing that same thing for tennis? Are you doing that same thing for cross country or for track? Is it just like the big money sports, because I don't know, it gets tricky because, those, like the soccer team, them cats are working, practicing and hitting the gym as much as, a basketball team might be, but they don't bring the revenue. So is that fine? Is that fair? Is it not? I don't think it's unfair. It's just something to look at.
I think I got what you were trying to say more about the revenue and everything, the different programs and all that. I just think here's the problem. Here's the reason why I don't like $50,000. I'm like, let's give these players money. Johnny Manziel, if this guy got $50,000 in his hand, what do you think he's going to do with it?
He had $50,000 in his hand.
Oh yeah, he did. Right? And now let's say
he came from money. He came from money, so he did whatever he wanted. He wouldn't have mattered.
Chris, let me finish though. Now let's say he got $50,000 from the college from Texas A&M, and then on top of that, he's getting all this side money and everything. Oh, he can be an idiot.
That's fine, but it's his right.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I like
it's his right to be an idiot.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add on that is, like, Johnny Manziel is one thing. Like Chris was saying, he came from money. I think there's a lot of kids out there who particularly, like, I think there's a lot of kids out there that just, like, want to help their mom pay for, like, the house mortgage or something like that. I think they're not going to, and yes, maybe they use some of their money to party, but like Chris was saying, that's their absolute right. Like, who are we to tell them that they can't use their money the way they want? And I think most of them are going to make smart decisions with it anyway, or at least set up a little nest egg until they reach the next level. And maybe it might help some players, maybe not the elite players, but maybe like the late first round players stay in college a little bit later. Like, they're getting paid.
I'll say this. Go ahead. Go ahead, Albert.
I was gonna say, hey, I'm not bothered one little bit if one of these players comes home with a little LaMelo grill, little ice in their teeth. That doesn't bother me at all. I don't care what they spend their money on. They just got to get paid. That's the point. right? Like I don't care how they spend money. I don't care what they do with it.
I'll say this on college athletes, like if you ever get, I'm a big Tim Tebow supporter. A lot of people think I look like him, whatever, But I'll say this about Tim Tebow. If you ever get the chance to watch his documentary in school, it's phenomenal. It is unbelievable. It's a 5-part series, and I bet you that dude got $100,000 to go to Florida.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But the thing is, like, I wasn't only trying to say that. My point is this: these college athletes, most of them, let's say the top athlete, they're all minority, and these guys are trying to put their family through, anything. And the thing is, like, these college are making millions. Alabama is probably making almost close to $300 million a year off that football program in profit.
Yeah.
But then that's the thing, though. Like, how are we going to even this out? Because you got Duke University that doesn't have a good football program, but they have a great basketball program. But here's the thing, though. I always say this: with responsibility comes pressure. You're going to get responsibility as a college athlete. All right, these are our expectations. We're going to give you this, but these are the responsibility. So let's say this: what if they put standards saying you got to meet these standards? We're going to give you this money, and if you don't do it, it's going to be like a personal loan. I
tell you what, Cleveland would have loved that if they got to see a little sneak peek of Manziel before they drafted him. They would appreciated that.
Right.
That's why I think there's like kind of a fine line, because like if you play basketball at North Carolina, you're getting paid more. But if you play football at North Carolina, whatever.
Yeah. It's going to be tough.
Although I will say there is a disparity between, like, I still think North Carolina football brings in a good amount of money. I mean, football is the cash cow. I mean, like, the Gophers are terrible usually, and they're still bringing in tons of money.
Well, because they've got that TV contract.
All right, let's say Alabama football versus Alabama basketball. How about that?
Sure. Yeah.
Who's the coach? Who's the coach at Alabama now? Isn't it the old Spurs point guard? Or is he down?
I thought you said football, bro.
Avery Johnson.
Oh, Avery Johnson. Yeah. I think you're right.
Is he Alabama? He's down there somewhere. He's bringing it up.
I love Avery Johnson.
I mean, it's tough. It's really tough with that money thing and how to make it work and how to make it fair is tough. I mean, there's smarter people than us five that are going to figure that out, and it's going to happen. Or that's what I love about this G League thing. Like, no, I'm going to go get paid. Like, I'm going to go get money. I hope every top prospect does that, because guess what that'll do? Force the NCAA's hand. I mean, Europe is probably a cool place to go hang out as a young kid, where you're making, 30 minutes.
There's a reason why LeBron James is pushing his client Clutch and everything to tell people, hey, don't do this. The NBA is college. Well, I think LeBron said it's like slavery, and I hate to say that word. It's just stupid as hell. But, he said it.
I mean, people can be that because they want to get mad at what he's saying, but I mean, he's not saying you're literally bound in chains, but he's saying that the master's making billions and you're not making.
Yeah, but that's the thing. LeBron is the biggest movement in Black Lives Matter for the NBA. Well, actually, there's a lot of them. Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown. We can go on and on and on. But the thing is, I'm just saying this, man. These players deserve to be paid. And if you don't think you're not going to get paid, go to the G League. Go play in Europe. Go play
if you can.
Exactly.
A lot of these guys don't. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
No, I think we're saying the same thing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, a lot of these guys come out. They're not going to the G League because they're not prospects. They're not high enough. They're not going to make it. They need college. They need to play those games. Yep. So they should.
They're still bringing in the.
I think that's a decent point. Like if you're not a top 20 prospect, like, are you really going to go sign up to play the G League? Probably not. I mean, you got to be kind of a well-known commodity by the time you get there.
Well, it depends. Tell me what you're going to offer me. I would definitely look at it. If the G League says I'll give you 40 grand, and they're giving other guys 100, but they'll give me 40. Shoot, I'll do that.
Right, and
it
also
depends on the situation.
But it comes down to the stage you get. It comes down to the stage you get, right? Like, if you look at what happened in the G League this year, nobody watched that. Nobody watched what happened in the G League this year. I mean, you have to be a really, really. I mean, I didn't even watch the G League. I watch a lot of basketball. Point is,
because where are you going to watch it?
If you're a guy if you're a guy coming in and they're saying we'll give you 40K, are you going to get the playing time? Right? Are you going to get the ability to make a name for yourself, or should you go to college and where you're going to get minutes, you're going to have some key matchups, right? If you're saying I can go to the U of M, right, for a year, or I can go make money in the G League right now, where do I have a better chance of making a name for myself? I mean, you got Isaac Okoro, we've got some guys who come out, you know what I mean? So it's not an easy decision.
Here's the tough thing with that is you're definitely not getting the press. You're definitely not getting the exposure. But, the Timberwolves have probably 3 coaches and 4 scouts in the G League. So when you come and you play the Iowa Wolves, Timberwolves watch you, Like, it might not be the head, so, I mean, you're at least getting NBA exposure. I don't know, but I mean, those top 2 guys are going to go top 5 that play G League. That right there's huge for that movement. Because if those guys would have failed and got drafted 10th and 11th, now it's like they're going to be like, okay, those guys were top 5 prospects, and now they went 10th and 11th. That's no good.
Yeah.
And I think one thing you gotta that in the G League's favor, like, who are you playing every night? You're playing fringe NBA players. When you're in college, each team has 1 or 2 potential NBA players, unless you're playing unless you're playing like Duke or something like that. Like, every single night you're getting top talent that you're playing against. And like, what if you're playing like UC Santa Barbara that has like 1 fringe NBA player? You're probably going to want to play the G League and just get more exposure. Well, guys, I think we're going to have to end it at that. We're getting close to 9 o'clock. But, hey, it was fun to have everybody. It was a cool experiment. And make sure to subscribe to the podcast, and we'll have you guys on some other time.
A couple things to say real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, first off, RIP, rest in peace. We're coming up to the draft. RIP Terrence Clark. RIP Terrence Clark, y'all. He's a huge prospect. He was going to be drafted this year. He died in a car crash. Second thing I got to say, peace up, A-Town down.
Absolutely.
Well,
thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
Without my kids screaming in the background, we had fun. It was a blessing to be here every week, as always. I love being with you guys, Chris. I even brought my boy Gerson on. I hope he had fun. It was a good time. You can follow me at Spaghetti Express on Twitter and subscribe to Everything Is Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. Go Wolves, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you got everyone have a good one, and have a good one, and subscribe to Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast.
Peace.